Clear cases are supposed to show off your Z Flip 8's design, but half of them turn yellow within weeks, especially right around the hinge. We tested 5 to find out which ones actually stay clear. We're not just checking for yellowing either. We're checking whether the included screen protector still seats flush once the case is on. Stick around, because our winner solved a problem 3 of these cases couldn't. We're starting with the case that looks the part but skips a feature the other 4 all have. The OWKEY magnetic case is the one to reach for if your biggest complaint about the Z Flip 8 is that it's slippery. The anti-fingerprint matte finish isn't glass smooth like the others on this list. It's a frosted, translucent texture that gives your hand something to grip. And according to an independent buyer's guide covering early Z Flip 8 case options, that texture specifically helps buyers who find the phone hard to hold onto. It's also genuinely slim, so it won't turn your flip phone into a brick. And it ships with built-in magnets for MagSafe style accessories, chargers, mounts, wallets, without needing you to add a separate magnetic ring later. Here's the trade-off. This is the only case in our lineup with no hinge protection at all. On a device where the fold crease is the single most failure-prone part of the phone, that's a real gap. Every other case here wraps the hinge in some kind of cover. And because the listing makes no mention of any anti-yellowing treatment, that frosted translucent finish is running on standard TPU, with nothing extra fighting UV discoloration over time. It's not confirmed to yellow faster, we just can't confirm it won't. Verdict: this is best for someone who prioritizes in-hand grip over hinge coverage and is fine replacing the case every several months, rather than protecting the fold long-term. It's also a reasonable pick if you already own a separate hinge guard or screen protector and just want a slim, grippy shell layered on top, rather than a single case doing every job at once. This next pick fixes the exact hinge gap we just ran into, and adds a number most of these listings don't give you. The FNTCASE hinge protection case is fully transparent, built from what the brand calls Bayer's ultra-clear TPU and polycarbonate, with a nano antioxidant layer specifically marketed to resist yellowing and oil buildup. The hinge gets its own automatic sliding cover that folds and unfolds with the phone instead of sitting rigid, which is the detail OWKEY was missing. On the magnet side, FNTCASE actually publishes a number: 38 N52 magnets generating 2,400 grams force of attraction, which the brand states is over 7 times stronger than a standard magnetic case, though that comparison is the brand's own framing, not an independent third-party test. The case is also rated for military-grade drop protection up to 10 feet, and the hinge cover itself is designed to bounce back into position automatically every time you close the phone, so you're not manually resetting it after every fold. The catch is in those exact numbers. FNTCASE lists a 2.5mm raised lip over the camera and a 1.5mm bezel around the front screen. That's enough clearance for most tempered glass protectors to sit inside without the case pushing up on the edges. But if you're running an especially thick aftermarket glass protector on the outer screen, it's worth test fitting before you commit. A 1.5mm gap isn't enormous, and it's tighter than the buffer zone you'd want if your protector has rounded edge-to-edge coverage rather than a flat center panel. Verdict: this is the strongest all-around pick for buyers who want hinge coverage and a real magnet spec without stepping up to a premium brand. If hinge protection isn't your top concern and you'd rather have a screen protector already in the box, this next one swaps that priority. The VEGO full clear case ditches the hinge cover entirely, but comes packaged with its own tempered glass screen protector, sold separately in the same box rather than pre-installed. You'll need to apply it yourself, which sidesteps the lip clearance guessing game since it's matched to this exact case by the same manufacturer. VEGO uses a TPU and polycarbonate blend with what the listing calls an anti-yellow layer, and it supports wireless charging without removing the case, which not every clear case on this list explicitly confirms. Corners get a spray-painted shock absorption bumper for added drop cushioning. And because the case and protector are designed together by the same brand, you're not gambling on whether a random third-party glass protector fits under the case's front lip the way you might with an aftermarket purchase. The catch here is real. This specific listing makes no mention of magnetic compatibility or hinge protection. If you're expecting MagSafe-style snap-on accessories, this isn't the case for that. You'd need to check VEGO's other Z Flip 8 variants, and this one and those are not interchangeable. For a device with a hinge as central to its design as the Flip 8s, skipping that coverage is a bigger omission than it would be on a slab phone. Verdict: best for buyers who want a matched screen protector out of the box and don't care about magnetic accessories or hinge armor. Think of this as the pick for someone who's gentle with their phone and mainly wants to keep the original finish visible and scratch-free. The next case brings hinge protection back into the picture and pairs it with the strongest anti-yellowing claim we found outside our top pick. The Vihibii hinge protection case is fully transparent, includes an outer screen protector, and leans hard into longevity. The listing describes a triple-layer anti-yellowing treatment built from what it calls oxidation-resistant materials, aimed specifically at keeping the case from clouding or discoloring the way basic TPU does. The hinge gets a sturdy, fully automatic cover, and the case overall is built slim and lightweight, based on the sibling version in this same product line, which lists roughly 0.12 inches of added thickness and 1.7 ounces of added weight, numbers that should carry over closely to this colorway, though we're noting they come from the adjacent listing rather than this exact one. The hinge cover itself is built to fold and unfold along with the phone automatically, matching the same no manual reset design FNTCASE uses, and Vihibii's listing specifically calls out dust resistance around the hinge seam as part of that coverage. Here's the catch. Unlike a companion Vihibii listing in the same case family, this specific version does not advertise MagSafe or magnetic compatibility. If magnetic accessories matter to you, you'd need to check Vihibii's other Z Flip 8 SKUs rather than assume this one includes it. Vihibii sells multiple versions under a similar name, and they aren't identical in features. Verdict: best for buyers most worried about long-term yellowing who don't need magnetic accessory support. If you've been burned by a clear case going cloudy on a previous phone, this is the one on the list most directly built to prevent that from happening again. And this is where we get to the case built specifically to solve everything the first four either compromised on or left unconfirmed. The Spigen Ultra Hybrid Pro MagFit is the only case on this list with a manufacturer-documented multi-condition anti-yellowing process. Spigen calls it DuraClear technology, a polycarbonate and TPU blend infused with blue resin, and according to Spigen's own product page, it's tested against UV exposure, stain resistance, alcohol rubbing, and heat and humidity conditions specifically to prevent the clouding that affects typical clear cases. It also uses air cushion technology at the corners for drop protection, with raised edges built into both the camera and screen borders. The hinge is covered by what Spigen describes as a semi-auto sliding mechanism, tested through repeated folding cycles according to the product listing. And on the charging side, it's Qi 2 certified for fast wireless charging, with a built-in MagFit magnetic ring that snaps to the same MagSafe-style accessory ecosystem as the other magnetic cases on this list, though Spigen doesn't publish a gram force number for that magnet the way FNTCASE does, so we can't put a figure next to it. Spigen's product page also shows the hinge cover holding up through repeated open-close cycling in its own testing documentation, which is more third-party style durability evidence than most of the cases on this list provide. The catch: this is currently listed as a pre-order on Spigen's own site, shipping within 15 business days, so if you need a case immediately, budget for that wait or have a backup case ready in the meantime. It's also worth knowing the exact color reviewed here is labeled clear white, which leans slightly tinted rather than fully water clear like the FNTCASE or Vihibii picks. Verdict: this is the strongest overall pick, documented anti-yellowing testing, hinge durability testing, and Qi 2 certified charging all in one case. But only if the current shipping timeline works for you. So here's how it breaks down by what you actually need. If grip matters more than hinge coverage, OWKEY. If you want a documented magnet spec and solid hinge protection without paying premium pricing, FNTCASE. If you'd rather have a matched screen protector in the box and don't need magnets, VEGO. If long-term yellowing resistance is your biggest worry, Vihibii. And if you want the most thoroughly tested case on this entire list and don't mind a short pre-order wait, the Spigen Ultra Hybrid Pro MagFit is the one to grab. One last thing worth repeating. 3 of these 5 cases include hinge protection, and 2 don't. On a phone whose entire design depends on that hinge surviving thousands of folds, that's the single spec worth checking twice before you buy, regardless of which case looks best in the thumbnail. Links to every case are in the description, in the same order we counted them down. Let me know in the comments which one you're going with.